Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to the April 8th meeting of the Lincoln City Council. I'd like you all to join me as I stand to do Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, followed by a moment of silent meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again for joining us. I think we also have an awards portion of the program coming up shortly. Mr. Johnson, would you come join us?
Thank you very much.
So we normally have the Mayor's Award for Excellence at this point in our agenda, but the mayor was not able to join us today, so we have sitting in for the mayor.
Absolutely, Lynn Johnson with Lincoln Parks and Recreation. So I'm pleased to be here this afternoon. We're going to be recognizing Jim Portis, who is the district supervisor, the retiring district supervisor in our Northwest Park District, and I'll ask Jim to come up if that's okay. And then I will read the mayor's remarks. The Mayor's Award of Excellence for March is presented to Jim Portis, Park District Supervisor with the Parks and Recreation Department. Jim is retiring next week after more than 36 years with the city. Fellow District Supervisor Matt Mittelstadt nominated Jim in the categories of customer relations and productivity. As the Northwest Park District Supervisor, Jim is responsible for overseeing maintenance of park areas in that quadrant, including Union Plaza, Tower Square, Oak Lake, and some features of the Haymarket. His duties include budgeting, hiring, training, and supervising of staff, and working with volunteers, and working with also special events, including Uncle Sam Jam, one of Lincoln's largest special events, as a matter of fact. Matt Mittelstadt said an example of Jim going above and beyond his regular duties is his work with the Parks and Recreation Apparel Order 3 times each year. Since Jim volunteered to take on the time-consuming job in 2011, he's ordered more than 74,000 logoed items, and that's more than $400,000 worth of merchandise. For Parks and Recreation employees, wearing items with department logos helps to promote their professionalism and their dedication to providing quality facilities and programs. Jim has worked to refine the process of contacting vendors, communicating with employees, and collecting orders to make it run smoothly, and I would tell you that it always does. Matt wrote, as we all strive to meet the demands of the public, Jim has gone the extra mile to provide this service to the benefit of all of his coworkers. You can see the results of Jim's hard work throughout the city, not just in our beautiful park facilities, but also in shirts, jackets, and hats that keeps our Parks and Recreation employees looking sharp. On behalf of the mayor, it is my pleasure to present Jim Portis with the Mayor's Award of Excellence for March, and please join me in congratulating Jim for his hard work and commitment to the city of Lincoln.
Way to go, Jim. Way to go.
I'm going to take just a teeny bit of privilege, if that's okay, because I'd also like to speak briefly. I do want to wish Jim well. As he enters retirement, he certainly will be missed. I would tell you that I worked with Jim for a number of years, and if he sees something that needs to be done, he just takes care of it, and certainly this is an example. Coordinating the ordering of Parks and Recreation logo apparel is certainly, as I said, one of those things, and I want to thank Jim for taking on this work and Matt for recognizing this great work that Jim has been doing. I don't think that there is a better branding for the department than people doing good work while wearing the department's logo. And I would tell you that, as you can see, we all wear that logo, and we're all very proud of it. I want to thank Jim for his significant efforts in promoting the Lincoln Parks and Recreation brand. Jim, would you like to say anything?
Just thank you very much. I appreciate all that the city's done for me and my family. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Councilman Eskridge has his hand up. He wants to say something, but we'll get to that. Go.
Jim, thank you.
I think they know each other.
We've, a lot of times, I've contacted you about issues going on near and far, and this far strung district that we have, and as Lynn indicated, a lot of big projects that you have, and some small ones too, and each one of them you've given your undivided attention and care, professional, and really doing a great job. So behalf of the whole district and myself, very, very high level of thanks for what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
Councilman Camp. And then
Yes,
Councilwoman Williams.
congratulations, and I'm wondering if you have some guests you'd like to introduce.
I do. My wife Shelley, my
First
daughter
step.
Paula, and my granddaughter Leah.
Now, good wave, Leah.
This is for you.
Yay.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your service.
Good luck in
We appreciate
retirement.
it. So we now return you to our regularly scheduled city council programming. In accordance with LB 898, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber. The order of business for the Lincoln City Council is as follows. The clerk will call items listed on the agenda under public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The applicant and those in favor should speak first, then those in opposition. The applicant may make a short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, their address, and whether you're speaking in favor of or in opposition to an item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second, today, and last meetings of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any item, on any issue not on the agenda for today, nor planned for a future agenda. Madam Clerk, would you help us with our first agenda item?
Yes, we ask those of the general public coming forward to testify to please clearly state your name, spell your name, give your address, and sign in on the sign-in sheet laying on the podium. Testifiers may use either microphone, and there is a sign-in sheet by each microphone. We ask those individuals from city staff who are testifying to please state your name, title, and the department you work for. Our first item of business is our public hearing consent agenda, items 1 through 3. Is Krista Yoakum here? Hi, Krista.
Hi,
Just state your name and address.
Krista Yoakum, 330 Northwest 13th Street here in Lincoln.
Hi, Ms. Joseph. Krista, thanks for coming forward. I see you're being appointed to the Community Health Endowment Board of Trustees. Tell us about why you'd like to serve and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I have lived in Lincoln virtually all my life. I've lived outside of Lincoln just a few times, but all of my adult life has essentially been here. And I think giving back to your community is one of the best things that we can do. And I've done that continuously in many ways, going back to the children's school PTA, to more significant roles of late. And this has been an important board. I remember when it was established, and I have recognized all of the good work that has been done through the Community Health Endowment Board, and I would be honored to be a part of that.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your willingness to serve. Are there questions from the council? Again, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Is there anyone else who would like to
Sit down,
speak on the
Krista.
consent agenda items? Seeing no one coming forward, let us move.
All right, we can vote on these items. Item 1A was introduced by Camp.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Camp, second by Councilwoman Raybold. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Items 2A and B were introduced by Christensen.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Councilman Christensen, second by Councilman Eskridge. Discussion? Would you please call the roll?
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Next then are public hearing liquor resolutions. Those giving testimony are asked to come forward and raise their right hand for the clerk to administer the oath. After the oath, witnesses shall state their names and addresses. I will call item 4A, application of European Grocery and Deli for a Class D liquor license at 2601 Champlain Lane, Suite 100.
And she's gonna ask the question first. Hang on.
Would you raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you verily believe it to be?
Yes.
Thank you. State your name and address.
My name is Milena Majstorović, 2033 Boston Drive, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68521.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Tell us a little bit about your application. Why are you here today?
She applied for liquor license. We live in Lincoln, Nebraska for 20 years, and she opened a grocery store. So she wanna just bring something new, like some liquors, which can people. We have a small community of people that live here too, and everybody else can come and purchase and try something new. And it's in family. So
I understand. Thank you. Are there questions from the council? Councilman Eskridge.
Yes, 2601 Champlain Lane?
yes.
Where's that?
It's right on 27 and Superior, on the left side,
Yep.
that plaza, there
Got
is a Vincenzo restaurant. And
Yep. Okay.
Other questions from the council? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is anyone else in the council chambers that would like, yes, please.
Yes, please.
Is anyone else in the council chamber that would like to speak on this agenda item? I think we're ready to move to 4B.
All right, I'll call 4B and 4C together. They're the application of Embassy Suites for a Class IK liquor license at 1040 P Street, as well as the related manager application of Jason Johnson.
There's-
Do you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you really believe it to be?
Yes.
Thank you. Just state your name and address.
Jason Johnson, 5424 Sugarberry Court, here in Lincoln.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson, for coming forward. Could you explain to us why you're here today?
Absolutely. It's hopefully it's a simple matter of a new owner at the Embassy Suites. We've been around for about 19 years now, and recently we were purchased by Atrium Hotels. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much. Questions from the council? So it's just a bookkeeping thing.
Absolutely.
No, Councilman Camp, yes.
Who are the people behind the new owners?
That's a good question. Jonathan Elian is the owner of Atrium LLC. He's based out of New York. Our corporate office is based in Atlanta. I wish I had more, and Brian may be able to help us with that as well.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Other questions from the council? Thank you very much. Is anyone in the chamber that would like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing no one coming forward?
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of items 4A, B, and C.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Camp, and second by Councilman Christensen. I'm getting the names right today. I'm excited. Any discussion of the motion? Madam Clerk, when you're prepared, would you call the roll?
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Next then are our public hearing resolutions. Item 5A is approving a resolution to limit spending to no more than $20,000 to provide education on any ballot issue without prior approval of the City Council.
Chris Connolly, Acting City Attorney. This is something that Councilwoman Lamb asked me to prepare, and so I guess,
Thank
Madam,
you.
if you'd like to
Do
go
our
ahead.
introduction for us, Councilwoman?
I would, thank you. This came about because of spending on the quarter-cent sales tax, and mostly because of the notification that most, if not all of us, didn't have before it was actually spent, and that's been a real issue among folks in the community. So I asked the law department to draw something out to put a cap on that, and since then we have had some discussions about maybe the ways that might be problematic based on the charter and a couple of other memos that were written. And so I intend to have this delayed for 2 weeks in order to work through some of those issues and see if, in fact, we want to modify it or introduce it in a different form and work with some of my colleagues. So we are certainly going to take public comment today if anyone has it, but basically my intention is to ask to delay it with hearing at least 2 weeks with an eye towards either a modification or a withdrawal. So.
Thank you, Councilwoman. This is a public hearing. Mr., do you have anything else? You have questions for Mr. Conley or the Councilwoman before I go to the public? I see the dais being silent. This is a public hearing. Does anyone else would like to testify on this agenda item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. This is a travesty. My understanding is that Watchdogs has talked to the Accountability and Disclosure Committee. They informed us that people in the city department talked to them many times to find out how they could get around the accountability and disclosure law. There is a law, LB 210, I believe, is the number that's coming up, and it would be able to put some teeth into this kind of spending on education. But at this time, there's nothing that they can do about it, and we can see it as something that's outside the way government should be operating. It consists of a good old boy system. Mr. Caldwell of NEBCO was head of the committee that set up the whole issue, ballot issue, and NEBCO has gotten millions of dollars from downtown doing infrastructure. Olson got the contract for this, and the Olson is buddies with the city and the mayor. This is an example of a good old boy system, and we feel it's a travesty for the public. You want a tax, and you want to tell people how they should vote with the education system, but I've had a lot of calls, and other people have had calls stating that this ballot question can be interpreted to be supportive of developers. And of course, that was also stated as the reason behind it. But there's no guarantee city streets will be taken care of. Now, I told them it'd probably take a lawyer to tell you exactly what they are voting for, but I haven't consulted with a lawyer. In the past, ballot questions have not followed what the public was understanding that they were voting for. So we're distrustful that this would be the same thing that would happen to us. You know, I'm disappointed. Watchdogs is disappointed that the people drew this up when there was a tax that was just ended, and when the leaders want money, we're going to tax the people instead of giving an accountability of how the money is spent. The city found money for potholes. Why can't they find money for streets? Public Works says, we're all set up for future projects. Well, the future should not take precedent over the present. And I just have a hard time finding streets that are worth 2 cents in this town. So we would be supportive of this, and actually maybe even more about other kind of ballot issues that are put on the up to the vote of the public.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsey. Are there others in the chamber that would like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing no one coming forward, I think we're ready to wrap this up.
Voting session.
Yeah.
This was introduced by Lamb.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Lamb, second by Councilman Camp. Discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to delay this with hearing 2 weeks.
Second.
I have a motion to delay by Councilwoman Lamb, second by Councilman Christensen. Discussion of the motion to delay? Councilman Christensen.
My understanding is the delay is to allow time to make sure that whatever's being brought forth is an agreement amongst council members in general, and it will be having, it'll be in accordance with existing city statutes. Is that correct?
Enforceability, yes,
Enforceability.
yes, thank you.
Other discussion? Councilman Eskridge.
Yeah, I support the delay. I think it's obvious, well, it's obvious to me that education is really important for voters in making their decisions, whether they're voting for a candidate or a ballot issue, whatever it is, to do their homework to know what the issues are, and then to have that in mind when they go to the polling place, such as we'll be doing tomorrow. So I think this is important for us to think through, be careful about how we're doing it, what works for the city. Having disclosure, I think, is important as well, so that we understand that city funds are primarily going for the work being done, and know upfront whatever educational funds are being spent.
Thank you, Councilman. Other comments from the council? So we have a motion and second to delay, and that was delayed 2 weeks with public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Hearing no other discussion, would you call the roll, please?
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Next then, our public hearing ordinances second reading. Item 6A, amending section 2.76.380 of the Lincoln Municipal Code relating to sick leave to grant time off for a maximum of 80 hours in each calendar year for illness in the employee's immediate family for employees in pay ranges prefixed by N and X, and repealing section 2.76.380 as hitherto existing.
Good afternoon, Council. Doug McDaniel, Human Resources. This change in the ordinance merely reflects what was agreed to in the labor agreement with Page and the unrepresented X that kind of follows the outgrowth of any negotiations with Page. So it just puts it into code what we've already agreed to in the labor agreement, moving family sick allocation from 60 hours to 80 hours.
Thank you. Mr. McDaniel, question for this testifier from the council? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the council chambers that would like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing no one, so we go to 6B.
Yes, Comprehensive Plan Conformance 19003, declaring city-owned property generally located at 1440 Adams Street as surplus.
Is there someone presenting this? Thank you. Chief, I looked over for Mr. Landis and didn't see him there. Thanks for coming forward.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Pat Boris, Assistant Fire Chief, and this property belongs to the fire department currently, and we are moving as soon as the new one is complete, and we no longer need it.
Thank you very much. Questions from the council? Councilman Camp.
Yes, good to see you. Would you explain how the funds would be handled since it's owned by the fire department, but what happens on putting those in reserve and so forth?
Yes, sir. What we would like to do is, once the sale is complete, put the funding from the sale into the land acquisition fund and begin searching for land for our next station.
So it'd be in the land acquisition as a whole, but earmarked for the fire department?
Yes, sir, if possible.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. That was a good question. Other questions from the council?
Staff here that
Yes.
is.
Chief, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Carey, okay. Never mind?
We're good.
Is there anyone else in the chamber that would like to testify on this agenda item? Mr. Carey, we thought you might want to add to this, but you have no...
He's up next.
Pardon?
I think he's up next.
Okay, my mistake. We're good. Anybody in the chamber want to speak on this agenda item? Going once, twice. Teresa, next agenda item, please.
All right, approving a real estate sales agreement between the city and Constellation Studios for the sale of city-owned property generally located at 2053 O Street.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Dallas McGee. I'm the Assistant Director of the Urban Development Department. Before you today is the sale of a parcel of land at 5023 O Street. I'll show it on the map here.
We show 2053.
2053, I'm
Okay,
sorry. Did
okay.
I said 5053? Yes, it's 2053.
Okay, thank you.
That helps a lot.
It does help by 30 blocks,
Yeah.
yes. O Street is at the top of the map. 21st is running on the right side of the map. This parcel is a 20-foot wide by 142-foot long parcel shown in blue. It was declared surplus, and we've advertised it for sale. We have received just one proposal, and that is for $55,000. It's by Constellation Studios, and they are an adjacent owner, and they would like to develop this parcel in conjunction with their property adjacent to it. I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. Karen Kuntz is here from Constellation Studios, and she would be happy to answer questions as well.
Thank you. Councilman Eskridge.
Thank you. Dallas, to my eye, it looks like it's approximately the same size as the current lot that Constellation Studios has, or at least that rectangular part where their building is?
It is.
Okay.
Yes, it's 25 feet, and I believe that one is 25 feet as well.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the council? Seeing no one, Mr. McGee,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Is there anyone else in the chamber that would like to speak on this agenda item? Yes, please come forward.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Karen Kuntz. My home address is 1557 North 32nd Road in Avoca, Nebraska, and I also own 2055 O Street.
Okay.
As you know, I opened Constellation Studios 5 years ago at 21st and O Street and have enjoyed establishing a business and engaging with the community for creative activities and presentations. I know that my business has a long way to grow yet, but it is viable and sustaining since opening. I am planning for Constellation Studios to be an entity for the long term, as I know I will be there and I intend the business to continue to flourish in the future. I see development happening all around the eastern edge of downtown in this neighborhood, with the exciting growth also of the Telegraph District. So I've been envisioning the continuing development of Constellation Studios. So for future development, we are offering to purchase the city-owned vacant lot next door to Constellation Studios, which would significantly secure the immediate surroundings of my building, enabling me to dream of the future. This site offers the possibility to develop an arts incubator, which is what I'm proposing for the site in the future. And that would develop and benefit artists in Lincoln through education opportunities, affordable studio space, and to add to our civic and social well-being and values. The development of the site would be accomplished in phases, beginning with landscaping. Then we would develop programming and activities in the site for mural painting, outdoor sculptural installations, performance art events, while keeping parking in the picture. Ultimately, Constellation Studios would initiate a funding campaign to support building a permanent arts incubator studio facility on this site. This facility could offer affordable artist studios, art classrooms, and retail showroom to enable a sustainable business. This is a very exciting prospect and enables a big picture future for Constellation Studios, as we would serve as the administrating leader for the arts incubator, developing programming, policies, attractions, and events. You know, I'm not a developer, but I'm an artist. But I know to ask for help for this project and know of the potential support that could be approached. My development of Constellation Studios exemplifies my vision and drive to make something significant and of civic value. Now is the time to plan for the arts development in this area, and I'm in the right place at the right time. So thank you for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Eskridge.
Yes, can't believe it's been 5 years.
Yeah, amazing.
So in that amount of time, you have shows all the time, educational events. So just some of the places where people have come from that have visited your shop, just have had exhibitions, taken classes.
Right.
What are some of them?
I've had artists who've come for residencies from Europe, from Belgium, from Japan. I'm having somebody come from Poland this coming September. People from all over the country have come for my workshops, so I'm bringing people in, and then local artists are joining also for the activities. So I should have made a number count.
It's a great addition to the community, and your presence there on the right next to Antelope Valley, and your wall and the mural and the piece of it that changes periodically. It's a great addition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions from the council? Ms. Kunz, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there others in the chamber that would like to speak on this agenda item? Okay, so that ends our public hearing, doesn't it?
Yes, we will move into the voting session. Ordinance's third reading. Item 7A is the Willis Knight Lofts Redevelopment Project Redevelopment Agreement, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Raybold, second by Councilman Eskridge. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Next then is 7B, which is approving TIF funds for the Willis Knight Lofts Redevelopment Project, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Raybold, second by Eskridge. Discussion? Councilwoman Lamb.
Yeah, a question for staff.
Mr. Carey?
Mr. Carey. Thank you.
David Carey with the Planning Department.
Yeah, thank you for coming up, Mr. Curry. It seems to me that last week on hearing, we talked about because of the small amount of the TIF, the payback period, and I'm sorry I didn't write it down in my notes. Do you have that with you?
I do not have that with me. I know that the urban development staff was taking the lead on this. We certainly could try to get them down here right now if you want me to.
Well, I just recall, does anyone else recall? I recall it being relatively short, and I just wanted folks to know that I think that they said maybe 3 to 5 years.
Well, it was the standard 15.
Standard is 15.
It was a standard 15?
The number 9's in my head for some reason, and
Okay.
I have no support for that.
Okay.
I thought it was, I said, wow, that's almost half is what I was thinking.
Yeah, so I had understood that like within a year, it was gonna go up the changes were gonna be made pretty quickly, and it would increase the value very quickly, which would then pay for itself in property taxes pretty quickly.
I certainly can follow up on that and let
Okay,
you know.
would you mind just sending me
Absolutely.
something on that? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't have any other
Okay,
questions.
other questions? Well, I think we have a motion and second already on the floor. No other questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 7C then is the tax allocation bonds, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Raybold, second by Eskridge. Discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Christensen?
Yes.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Resolutions on first reading is item 8A. Ordinances on first reading is items 9A through E. Our pending list are items 11A through F. And just to clarify on the public comment portion, the date was incorrect. It should be April 8th and 29th. So I will get that corrected on the action sheet tomorrow. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not plan to appear on a future agenda may do so at this time.
Are there individuals in the council? Ms. Kinsey?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. I want to bring up a JPA item. I don't know if you keep up with that or not. but at the last meeting, the SMG at managing the PBA wants a new floor. It's 5 years old. Tom Loren's statement was, it's a little worn. What does that mean? Why in 5 years shouldn't a floor be all right? So anyway, he wants to work with Robbins Sports Services for $123,751.44. However, there was a glitch in getting that approved because another bid that was $23,000 less and could save money, which is the taxpayers' money from the bond issue, was not accepted. And, you know, if you're handling taxpayers' money, they should be spent wisely. And I think there's a lot of problem in this city with not spending money, taxpayers' monies, wisely. One issue is that the city owes SMG, of which Tom Lorenz is the employee, $1 million. And so they cannot be objective about how money is spent. And when SMG wants anything, they get it, just about. So I asked the question about who decides who pays for repair and maintenance at PBA. And it's up to SMG or Tom Lorenz to make that decision. So does that sound like a good old boy system to you? Yes, it does. And I would like an explanation as to why it is not. I brought this up several times, and all I get is, oh, we get a very good interest rate on that $1 million. Well, look around for another interest rate that may be just as good, because interest rates are not sky high at this point, so that you get out from under the SMG obligation. And I also asked the question of who will pick up these bills for the PBA. Well, the JPA will do it as long as it exists. Now, what kind of fiscal management is this? So I investigated it a little bit further and looked at an appeal that would go on. And I looked at the city code there is for that. Well, I spoke to Mr. Conley, and he said that the JPA is under state law, and that it must follow the County Purchasing Act.
1 minute.
So at that point, I also got some unclear information that they may have a board that handles protests and they may not. Now, I don't know what your issue is with this. You can do anything about it or not. But I guess what I would say is Watchdogs hopes that the next election brings forth people who are concerned about spending taxpayers' money carefully, and also that will look into the fact that some of this law by which the procedures are done for bids or for county or for boards that manage this will be examined. We've got big problems here.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsey. Councilman Camp?
Yeah, Where it's in media, I'm wondering if Mr. Eskridge could just give us kind of an update since he serves on the West Haymarket JPA and I guess on the floor wearing out and then where they're at on the holding on the bids.
Just the right form for.
Point of order, this is
Yeah.
not the right forum for that discussion. This is open mic.
Yeah, I'll answer that though, just so you, the standard policy for arenas is that they replace their basketball floors every 5 years. We've just finished the 6th basketball season here, so we've gotten a year longer out of it than most arenas typically plan for. They indicate it's time to replace it. So.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there others in the council chamber that would like to take advantage of our public comment portion? Seeing no one come forward, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Have motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Christensen?
I think we need.
Eskridge?
We ought
Hang
to
on, just a
encourage
second.
everyone to vote tomorrow.
Oh.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Lamb?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Motion carried, 7-0.
We are adjourned.